184, 177.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, aloha, and welcome back to my little piece of paradise over here that I call the Lonestar Hawaiian Garage. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. We are back with the 07 Silverado today. Today we are in fact going to be installing a cold air intake on the 07 from Cold Air Inductions. As you saw on the thumbnail, we are in fact giving an entire cold air intake system away in partnership with these guys. When I installed the Cold Air Inductions Intake on the 2020 Trail Boss, I was really impressed with the quality of product, the fit and finish, and actually the performance that came out of it. I currently run a K&N Cold Air Intake system on the 07. That's coming out today. We're gonna get a side-by-side comparison on that quality, the fit and finish, and what it really looks like, all dressed up in your engine bay. But speaking of being dressed up, we have, quite a bit of cleaning up to do. This 2020's been driving in the rain all week, actually in the mud as well. So we finally got this thing in four-wheel drive, had some fun, actually had to pull a lady out of the mud as well. But with that all being said, we have quite a bit of work to do. Let's get the party started, guys. I bought this foam gun from Walmart yesterday. Ooh, that's cool. Got a quick connect. Come on. Jeez. $30 from Walmart.
Well, it foams. Come on. Why are you on? Jeez. There we go. All right, guys, we actually pulled the 07 back in this way, trail boss in the driveway. Kind of neat reason being, turns out my neighbor is actually moving, sadly enough. I think I scared him away. So they're showing their house today, so there's a bunch of people coming in and out. In order to avoid the awkward stares, talking to a camera, I pulled in this way. So we're just gonna go ahead and start working. What we are installing, Cold Air Inductions Elite Series Cold Air Intake System to make bald eagles out the back end. So let's open this up, see what we got here, and it's gonna be replacing what we have in that truck currently. Holy crap. Wow. All right, there's our big box, guys. We have the contents of our Cold Air Inductions Cold Air Intake System. We have our massive filament filter. Isn't that massive, dude? It says huge. Huge. Massive. Massive. But anyways, guys, this is a massive filament filter. Yes, I guess everybody's coming out to hang out with me. So guys, we have a massive filament filter, the size actually larger than my head. I've never seen a filter this large in my life. We have our silicone reducer. We have a thermal coated intake tube, our 90-degree silicone bin. We have our accessories needed to apply. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, this thermal coated intake box. Isn't that huge? Huge! 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 Guys, here's the best part about this week's video. You better hurry up on this one. We're giving away one full set of these Cold Air Inductions Cold Air Intake Systems in partnership with Cold Air Inductions. Now to enter, no purchase necessary, guys. Go below in description of this video, hit that link. That's gonna take you to the Cold Air Inductions website. It's gonna take you to this drop site Cold Air Intake giveaway. You're simply gonna enter your name, your email, your make and model of car, and you can provide additional information for additional bonus entries. Guys, don't wait to do this. We have about 5 days left, I believe, at the point of launch of this video, so hurry, do it now. But Please come back and see this one. This is gonna be epic. So guys, on the 07, we do have a K&N cold air intake system. We've already removed that nasty stock intake box, and I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the K&N system. This provided some, performance benefits, which it felt like, it sounds amazing, but it also provided a slight mile per gallon increase. When I say slight, like half a mile per gallon to a mile per gallon on average per tank. So this is good, but what happened was when I installed the cold air inductions intake on my 2020 Trail Boss, I was blown away at the quality of the intake system. Not only does it look better aesthetically, because guess what? You get this nice plexiglass view of your intake filter. It looks mean, it's extremely streamlined, but actually the build quality is better than what I had in the 07. Again, this was years ago I installed that, so maybe K&N has done something different with their intake systems, but this one is a better fit and finish and also is a better build quality. So I was curious what they had for my 07, and that's what we're installing today. Unfortunately, the K&N is going to be coming out, so step number one is going to be pulling this box out, get the filament filter out of there, and unbolt this box, pull out the tube, and then we also have our mass airflow sensor we got to deal with as well. So let's get that pulled out first, and then we'll do a side-by-side comparison here on the table. Here we are, guys, 2.5 years later. Filter's a little bit dirty. Needs a little replenishment there, but that's okay. We got a nice bigger one. Ow! Son of a... Okay, now I gotta get this MAF out of there. It's like stuck in there. In a few years. But I gotta pause real quick, guys. My son found a grasshopper. He wants me to go see the grasshopper. I'll be right back.
Come on. Where, Daddy?
And the last piece here. There we go. K&N intake system has been removed. Side-by-side comparison real quick, guys. The main difference is both the box, the tube, and the filament filter. First off, with the intake box, this is one of the most important parts of a cold air intake system. This is what they brag about. This is why they're so quote-unquote high-performing, but high-performing being like 5 to 10 horsepower. It blocks out all the hot air from the engine bay. As you're driving your car, if you're racing your car, if you're racing your truck, if you're off-road, this engine bay becomes an oven. And what that box does, it blocks all the air from the hot engine bay getting into where your air box and filament filter are, pulling fresh, clean air into the motor to make power. Obviously, the ABS plastic air box intake system this thing comes stock with is long gone. The ABS plastic, it heat soaks, it's really ugly, and all those little fittings that are on there initially is all meant for sound deadening to make your engine as silent as possible for people not like me. But what we have here on the table is our K&N system and in our cold air induction system. There's not a ton of differences in like the clamps and fittings, but the main differences lie in the box, in the intake tube, and the filament filter. First off, with the intake box, which is probably one of the most important parts. I don't have any science with this, but the science of my finger says you can totally tell the cold air inductions is insulated. The actual material they use is a lot thicker than the K&N system. K&N might have a comparable system, I'm not sure about that, but the one I had was nowhere near as thick and well built. And what this does, it just slides on the edge to keep it from scratching and kind of seal that edge up. When you look at the cold air inductions one, this is really well fit. Basically, it comes pre-molded and almost looks stitched on here. Also on the inside, this is literally insulated. They have insulated the inside of the box to keep any hot air out. On the inside of the K&N, it's just metal. There's not a lot there. So again, nothing terrible to say about K&N. It's just cold air inductions. It just makes it a little bit better. The intake tube itself, K&N uses a plastic intake tube. They might have a few metal ones as options. The one I had was a plastic intake tube. I will say this one looks good. I love the K&N stamp. I love the way it looked in the engine bay, but functionality wise, it does as it's supposed to do. It's just plastic to where you go to the cold air inductions. This is a thermal coated intake tube. It's going to prevent any heat from getting in there, and it's super silky smooth to allow that airflow into the engine. Now, one piece I do kind of not like is this silicone piece here. I like the fact that K&N is a straight through, and basically it's one piece altogether. They've molded this to fit the truck perfectly. where the cold air inductions one is kind of two pieces here together, the silicone tube, it's a little bit flimsy, but that's just the only pet peeve I have of the system. Last but obviously not least is the filament filter. I don't have to say anything here, just look. Yeah, it's quite the difference. So obviously to each his own on branding. The science behind the two of these is the exact same. It's all about getting the coldest air possible into your engine to create more power and more efficiency. The science is super simple, super elementary. If you want to know more about it, go find one of my other videos. But the colder the intake charge or the air going into your engine, the more compact oxygen molecules are per square cubic feet, call it. So basically the amount of oxygen molecules we have gulped into the engine is higher if it's colder. If it's hotter, the oxygen molecules are actually spread out, just like normal hot air gas. The reason hot air balloons go up and expand, it's super simple science, and actually use it for the benefit of these trucks. The stock tuning will actually allow you a little more efficiency and a little more power with a colder intake charge. I will say, with my 2020 Trail Boss, I have seen an increase in my fuel efficiency. Prior to the intake install, I was seeing on average for a tank about 16.5 miles per gallon. Now on the highway, what I've seen for this truck prior to installing the intake, the highest I saw was 19.5 mile per gallon. Ever since the intake has been installed, I've actually seen 21 mile per gallon on the highway. And this is average over a long distance. This isn't just a quick stint on the highway. So I have seen fuel efficiency increases, power increases. Yeah, you're not going to be able to tell a 5 to 10 horsepower gain from the seat of your truck, especially a 6,000 pound truck. To each his own on the horsepower gain, but typically with efficiency comes increased horsepower. So the science is proven, it's super basic, and it still works today. Why manufacturers just don't install this stuff from the get-go is beyond me. Now next up is the install of this. Because this filament filter is so big, I'm really curious how this is going to install in there, because the K&N was a tight fit, but this is going to be even tighter fit.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law.
Guys, I feel like we really need to play a game of who's going to be my neighbor next. This is, I think, number 10 or 11. Coming to check out the house. What do you think, guys? Does this couple look like they like loud cars? Probably not. I'll be honest, I'm kind of terrified. These are all over middle-aged people driving crossovers and hybrids. They're really not gonna like me. I'm praying for a gearhead over here. We'll see what happens though.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Well guys, I still haven't figured out how to finish a project in one day for some reason. So yesterday afternoon, ran to a Halloween party for the kids. A lot of fun trick-or-treating with them, but time to get this thing buttoned up and finished up. So we pulled the truck in last night so I can close the garage, but last steps here, we need to put the engine cover back on, make sure everything's tightened down real nicely. But I can say this is looking really good so far. Let's move the truck back and keep going. All right, before I slap the engine cover back on and get everything buttoned back up, this is a really nice system. It's a bit more difficult to install than, say, the K&N. It's less pieces. It's one piece kind of going across over the top of the hoses. And given there's, what, 5 different hose clamps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces, it's a little more cumbersome to put together, but it's not hard by any means. I will say installing the air box here took a little longer than it should have been because there's a bracket at the very bottom where the stock box hooks up to it. Technically, you're supposed to remove that to install the cold air inductions one, but I left it in there and modified the box to fit because my future plans for the truck may just require that bracket stay there. So we went ahead and did that. It took a little longer than it should have, but we're finally to the point
We're gonna slap the engine cover back on, take this thing out for a test drive. Let's get this sucker on there.
They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try to reach it, many men have failed. Well, if you wanna get to heaven, you gotta raise a little hell. I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
Man, this thing sounds amazing. Just at 3/4 throttle, you can actually hear a faint higher, I guess call it pitch when it comes to the intake charge. I think K&N probably does a slightly better job at sound deadening, but me, I don't want sound deadening. I want to hear that intake charge. Is kind of the fun of all this. A few quick things here as we are going on our maiden voyage. I know they're going to come up in the comments, so I figure I'd address a few of them here. Performance. The performance difference between the K&N and the Colder induction systems is going to be a fraction, if even any at all. They both use the same concept, the same science, the same idea behind their two systems. You're allowing a colder intake charge to the motor, which creates more efficiency and more power. Now, we are in November and we're going into winter, so to be honest, cold air is not going to be hard to come by, but the free-flowing air is definitely a nice plus. Why I like colder inductions better at this point is, one, in my maiden voyage, the intake charge noise. I actually hear a louder intake charge. When I say louder, it's not a bad loud, it's not rattly, it's not nasty, but it's like right there, just that wisp of air. It just sounds like a nice wisp of, I don't know what I can't explain it, guys. I just really like it. Second off is the build quality. The build quality of the colder inductions is really well put together. Super strong, super sturdy. I'm indifferent about the multiple pieces and having the silicone 90-degree bend, but regardless, overall, the box is made so much better, and the size of the filament filter compared to the K&N. But again, they use the same concept, same idea. Let's keep on trucking. Ooh, that thing is sweet. Kind of a sad day, guys. There it is. Just for fun, guys. So inside the engine bay, you're gonna look. 184, 177, 170, 140, 150, 150, 140. And then taking a look inside the box, 94 degrees. Outside of the box is 121. Inside the box, one more time, 93, 92. So yes, a significant difference between the temperature in the engine bay and the temperature inside of that intake box. Again, this is a beautiful fall day. It's like 65 degrees out. If it were a hot summer day here in Texas, that variance would be even larger. Stuff works. Yes, it does in fact shield out that hot air. And yes, you get the colder intake charge into the motor to make more bald eagles out of the back end. But there you go, guys. 2020 Trail Boss outfitted with our colder inductions, colder intake system, and in our OG, the 07 Silverado here. Everything's all set to go. Super happy about this. And last little reminder here, guys, you can win your own colder inductions intake for free by simply going in the description below, hitting that link and filling in some basic information, your name, your email address, your make and model of vehicle. You're entered to win your own setup. Act very quickly because you have only just a few days left. All details are in the description below. Definitely go check that out. But I want to thank you one last time for joining me in today's video. This has been so fun. What's also really cool about Colder Inductions, they make a really cool colder intake for a vehicle that I am looking to put here behind me. Yes, the search continues for the final vehicle to go into the Lonestar Hawaiian garage to fill Paradise Cove. Unfortunately, with COVID, these car prices have skyrocketed and just does not make financial sense to purchase it right now. Really hoping these prices come down very soon because I want this car so freaking bad and we're ready to go. We have cash in hand, we're ready to go. But once again, thank you so much for all the support on the channel, for following me all this time. If you have not joined the Lonestar Hawaiian family just yet, scroll down, hit that subscribe button below, smash that like button while you're down there because it helps the channel out tremendously. As always, guys, we'll see you in a few days for our next video. Until then, y'all take care and aloha.